everyone, this is Chobra from GG Chronicle, reporting here from MLG Dallas, the Fall Championships. I'm here joined by Yellowpete from CLG EU. Just finished an intense best-of-3 series against sister team CLG NA. Let's start with that. I mean, you guys just finished, of course, all 3 games, but the 3rd game lasted over an hour, just tons of gold everywhere. I mean, what are your thoughts after that? Do you even remember how the game went?
Honestly, there was so much back and forth in that game. Like, I hardly remember everything. I remember a couple situations. Like, there was a lot of mistakes being made in the game by both teams, and like, you know, your own mistakes, you're gonna remember them. But apart from that, it was a pretty awesome game. Honestly, it doesn't happen that often that you get such a long game.
Yeah, I think, you know, especially in that last game, I think a fight everyone's going to remember is the second to last fight in CLG NA's base, where, you know, every ability was used and nobody died. Did you guys panic at all for even a split second after that?
No, not really. I mean, we still forced them off the inhib and got the inhib for it, basically. So, but as soon as, like, it wasn't in a couple team fights, what happened was Malphite ult hit Caitlyn, and we basically had a lot of burst on her, but then she survived by just a sliver of HP and managed to lifesteal her way up in like 5 seconds, and then from that point, like, without our abilities, we're not going to catch her anymore, so we might as well back off. But yeah, in that case, we still got inhib, so it was fine.
Good to hear, good to hear. So let's also talk about, you know, you've been showing us a lot of Ezreal play here, but back at the World Championships, I remember you mentioned, you know, you were feeling good on Kog'Maw, so back then. This tournament, is it also just kind of, you felt good so you stuck with it, or is it also because, of course, this is a previous patch and Ezreal is still pretty strong right now? There's 2 reasons. First of all, Ezreal is still stronger. So, like, I would definitely say he's the strongest AD in this patch. However, it's also, when we play against CLG NA, we often end up picking AD before them. Like, that's just how the picking phase often goes on either team. So I really don't feel like picking Kog'Maw before Double picks his champion. All right. You know, also, you know, it's always interesting to see sister teams compete, and especially with you guys, just because you know each other so, especially, you know, training in the gaming house together, you guys have scrimmed constantly against each other. How does that play? You know, it's going to be a huge mind game, I feel, especially in the pick and ban phase. You know, what do you guys do to prepare against that?
The picks that both teams commonly do have shifted a little bit since we scrimmed them last time. That was like 3 weeks ago before finals. But still, like, certain playstyle choices, you memorize them. You kind of have a better feeling of what the enemy is gonna do. Like, for example, if he's maybe gonna like camp you on the side lane when you're trying to push, trying to kill you, stuff like that. Like, you just have a better feeling on both ends, really, and that makes the game somewhat more controlled, I would say. It's weird when we play against them, because we've played against them so much.
Also, let's talk about you know, the substitute that you guys brought, Jay Reed, playing support for you guys. A lot of people, it was kind of a mystery for a while, and everyone had their doubts in the beginning, I'm sure, but you guys are looking really good. So let's talk about what's different, you know, working with Jay Reed versus Creepo, and also how do you feel about the results this weekend?
I would say Creepo is a little bit more talkative in the entire team. He's gonna make more calls. He's gonna like look for opportunities to make plays and stuff. He's like gonna keep all the timers in check. So on that case, he probably like contributes actually a little bit more. However, Jerry actually has quite amazing mechanical play. Like, from what I've seen, like, if you've seen that Blitzcrank, I was honestly surprised. Like without all those pulls, we would have never like won the lane or anything. So he definitely pulls weight in this tournament. I'm really happy we picked him up.
So you mentioned it's not just the lane, but even for the team, Creepo is, of course, a little bit more talkative. So did that change how the team had to work together overall, like during team fights and stuff like that?
Not too much, actually. It's probably not even that bad, because in team fights we tend to talk very much. Like, everyone tends to talk all the time, and sometimes calls even get lost, like, or like everyone just like not listening to each other anymore because it's too much talking. So for team fights, it's actually pretty optimal. Whereas like in early stages of the game, a little bit more communication could be good. But I mean, we've not been playing with Jerry as a team.
Right.
I've only been practicing with him in Duke. Okay. We've had one match as a team, like playing against Team Dynamic before the tournament started. So it's just like to be expected, to be honest. It's still working out great. So.
All right, and so looking forward to tomorrow, you guys are going to have to face Azubu Blaze first, and then if you guys win, you'll be moving into the finals. You know, how do you feel about playing Azubu Blaze? You know, do you think they're looking really good right now? Do you think it's going to be a hard match, or do you think, you know, we have a really good chance?
From what I've seen today against Najin, I haven't seen their other matches, but from what I've seen today, I think we can take them. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise because we haven't played against them yet. Because while we were in Korea, we played against the Super Frost a ton, but Blaze never ever wanted to scrim us because they were still like seeing themselves as the superior team, kind of sending their sister team out to scout us.
Okay.
So they will like not give anything away in case we would have to play them in like an important tournament, which didn't end up happening. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a very interesting match, like a first time.
In Korea for a while, Captain Jack was known for his Graves play, but he hasn't been showing it that much this tournament. You know, what do you think changed that, and do you think you'll be seeing a return to Graves tomorrow when he faces you guys?
Possibly. I wouldn't really expect it though. Like we saw today that he preferred Ezreal over Graves. Like he first picked that, so it's not too likely unless we maybe get that away, ban it or pick it first something. And he's also been preferring like the late game hyper carries.
Right, yeah.
He even picked Tristana when he couldn't play Vayne or Kog'Maw, so like that's a very uncommon pick, and it's not too likely he's going to pick Graves. And also since back then Graves was nerfed a little bit, so it's understandable.
Of course, Azubu Blaze has also their own story right now with Shy substituting for them. You know, I mean, he's definitely carried his weight. I think everyone would agree. Do you think that's also going to, you know, because you guys have definitely seen more of Shy. So do you think that helps, or it doesn't really matter because it's still a whole new lineup?
Well, him being a strong player, like obviously being a strong player will help them for sure. I'm not even sure, I don't know Goldtech, like there are no new top laner, which can't be here. So yeah, I don't know if it's actually making them stronger or weaker, but I know like how strong of a player is. He played really well in the matches against us, and he was like a big part of the reason we lost in the last couple important matches against them. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that.
All right, so you know, assuming you guys win, you guys have to face Najin Sword in the finals, and they're undefeated right now. You know, what do you think came to you guys? You guys have played them before at OGN, and you beat them, which forced them into the third and fourth place match. Do they look different from what you've seen in their games, at least today?
They were always, like, even when we were in Korea back then, they looked like definitely one of the strongest teams. I personally would have said they were the strongest team we've scrimmed there. In the OGN matches, you know, there's always some random fluctuation, like 3-1 maybe wasn't like the perfect representation of their skill level at that point, but I also think that they improved till then. Their players, like, their coordination is on another level, I think, like from any other team that's played in this tournament. Just the coordination was just like really, really good, and yeah, we'd see. Like we do our best. We definitely have a chance of winning. Like at this level, you do have a chance of winning, but well, we're gonna see what we do against Magnoon and his boys.
All right, so we've talked about the tournament. I want to talk a little bit more about CLG as a whole. There's a couple big stories right now. One of them, of course, being your very own Froggen, you know, pulling out that Lee Sin finally on a streamed match. How does the team feel about that overall?
With Froggen, it's sometimes a little bit troublesome because he tends to pick champions that he just likes to play. For example, we had a phase where he would just pick Twisted Fate all the time into like any matchup and any team, and like you're just asking yourself, well, is he picking that champion because he wants to play it, or because you think it's going to be very beneficial for us in this matchup? So that's what you always have to consider when Froggen like suggests something, you know, something that we haven't played much before. But in this case, he actually practiced Lee Sin like really much in solo queue, and he did really well with it. So we basically, like, if he felt like it, and he felt like it was a strong pick in this situation, we would never, you know, deny it from him.
All right, and then of course the other big story in the CLG organization is with CLG North America, the whole roster switch, and Loco Doco joining the lineup. Of course, you guys had to face them at, you know, as bottom lane partners. You know, during especially during the match today, do you think that's definitely a huge improvement for the North American team, or do you think it's still too early to tell?
Overall, I think Charles the Doublelift have, at least against me and against the lanes I've played, they performed better than Loco Loco. Doublelift, but it's can always be like just some random games. Like you might be a little bit nervous on the first one. Like there's a lot of pressure on him. I mean, he's the new guy on the team. That's the first tournament they play, and you kind of expect it to do well, and that can just as well backfire because you're like too nervous and too worked up about it. He did make a couple somewhat serious mistakes this game, but it wasn't terrible or anything. And I definitely think with the dedication he brings, like he's just a very dedicated player. He can definitely improve CLG NA as a whole, I'm pretty sure.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you very much. Once again, this is Chobra from GG Chronicle here with Yellowpete. We're going to have some more interviews for the rest of the weekend here in Dallas for the MLG Fall Championship. So stay tuned on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/GG Chronicle. Once again, thanks to Yellowpete and good luck tomorrow.